PJ?
Okay, thanks a lot, Walt. Walt Golden in the studio. It's 8:34 now, and Congressman Joe Sestak on the live line now. He's running for the U.S. Senate. He's a Democrat against Republican Pat Toomey. And Mr. Sestak, good morning. Thanks a lot for talking with us.
Morning, PJ, and it's Joe, please.
What did I say?
Mr. Sestak.
Oh, I see.
Make me
Okay.
feel older.
I thought maybe I called you Fred or something like that.
I'm out of the military. I'm just a public servant, and I love it.
Okay. Well, well, I can't even think of the word. Your humility is overwhelming. Let me. I was looking at the reason I was distracted, I guess, is I was looking at Pat Toomey's news release here, and he makes reference to this North Shore Connector project and the story that we're reporting this morning on it. He refers to it as Joe Sestak's $787 billion government spending program. Is it yours?
Well, I was over fighting the war in Afghanistan as head of the Navy's anti-terrorism unit and carrier battle group when this project began. But look, without a doubt, I don't think this is a project that was executed well, nor probably should it have been done. Look, I come from the military, where we don't have a breeding ground for conservatives or liberals or just someone that just wants to label somebody in a political way. We look at problems and try to solve them. When I look at Pittsburgh, what would I have done? Well, Pittsburgh has lost 16% of its population in the last 30 years, and the new jobs has been only 13% in those 30 years, but the nation's average is 60%. What I would have done over these years is focused on small businesses that create 80% of all jobs. And that's why I'm running for U.S. Senate. I honestly believe that if you invest with the working families of America, in Pennsylvania are small businesses with my 15% payroll tax credit for every new job, we soak up 5 million of these unemployed immediately. You know, my first job, PJ, in the military during the Vietnam War era was damage control officer. When I got to Congress, it was the year the recession began. That was my first job, was trying to control the damage, where 700,000 Americans are losing their job every month. Well, we slowed that down to where we're starting to get people back. But when Congressman Toomey actually wrote the law that let Wall Street become lawless, and let them gamble with trillions of dollars of our savings that sent us into this savage recession, I think it's time for accountability for somebody who wants to, once more, have less oversight and more benefits for the wealthiest. I will fight every day for the working family and willing to lose my job to help them get theirs.
Back to the stimulus funding and the North Shore Connector project. With regard to stimulus funding, as Toomey says in this news release, he points out that, or he says that you think the billion spent so far is insufficient. Maybe we need to spend more. And the question is, does Congressman Sestak still think we need to spend more of Pennsylvania's tax dollars on such wasteful programs? How do you respond to that?
Well, as the economist for John McCain, Mark Zandi, came out in a study 2 days ago, if we hadn't done this damage control that Congressman Toomey, when he was head of Club for Growth, wanted to even cause more damage by taking senior Social Security and investing it in Wall Street, if we hadn't done what we've done, 8 million more Americans would not have jobs today, and our gross domestic product would be negative 6%. But what I did want to do was reach across the aisle to Republicans and have put into the bill tax cuts for small businesses. I wanted to have no capital gains tax rate if you invest in a small business. What I wanted to do was to write off losses and accelerate depreciation for small businesses, and that they could then have lending guarantees from community banks, not Wall Street. And so, look, I understand that Congressman Toomey, who made a fortune on Wall Street, honestly went to Congress and helped his friends back up there by tax breaks for them and writing laws that let them gamble with derivatives. And he was a derivatives trader, and I appreciate Pat for thinking that way, but it's wrong. What I want to do is invest where working families in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Potter County are, in small businesses, and they give them the tax credits. You give them the stimulus, and they'll create 80% of all new jobs. That's why I said, look, to my party, and I stood up to it when it was wrong during that primary. And I said, look, we really got to invest where Pennsylvanians work. Small businesses, they're the ones that have to do it. We don't need another senator from Wall Street seat. We have enough of those down in the Senate, PJ.
On another issue entirely, there are two third-party candidates going to be on the ballot in November in the Senate race. One's a Libertarian, the other a Green Party candidate. How's that going to change the dynamics on Election Day, do you suppose?
Don't know. It's interesting. I haven't really thought it through yet on that. Here's what I think. What people want today is not a politician. What people, I find, want is to trust again, to believe someone's in it, willing to be accountable for their responsibility. Now, we have a great two alternatives. I know Congressman Toomey. I don't know the other people yet. Congressman Toomey doesn't want to be held accountable for having thrown out the window a requirement when he got to Congress where there was the largest budget surplus that no longer did you have to balance the government checkbook under a requirement to pay as you go. He voted to do away with that. So when he left Congress in 2005 to take over what John McCain called the Club for Growth, the ultra bag for the ultra rich, he left with the largest budget deficit in the history of America. I think we should hold him accountable for that. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. We don't want that alternative to come back that gave us this damage. What I want to do is just to demonstrate, let him look at everybody, whoever's on the ballot. But after 31 years in the U.S. military, what I want to do is serve again. I want to work hard for the working families who actually Washington, D.C. forgot during that period of time. Congressman Toomey was down there. The 10 years he was down there in Congress and head of Club for Growth, whose principal purpose was to purge the Republican Party of moderates. I want to work with Republicans, Democrats, and independents as their public servant to refocus Washington on them. Then let the public make a choice among anyone who's on the ballot. That's what I think is the right approach, TJ.
Congressman Joe Sestak, thanks a lot for talking with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You do the same. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Congressman Joe Sestak, Democratic candidate for Senate up against Pat Toomey, the Republican, and a Libertarian and Green Party candidate in November. Time now is 8:41.